Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The People Under the Stairs. So this is a donation reward reaction for Venom 0027. And yeah, it's a movie reaction. This is something I wasn't originally going to do today. Like, I recorded reactions for two different shows today, and I was going to leave it at that. But I decided, you know what? Why not? I'm not really doing much of anything right now. I'm just kind of like scrolling through social media, just kind of bored. So let's record more. I felt that it was a fun idea, so I looked at my stuff, and it's like, nah, I don't want to record any other shows today. So let's just do one of these donation reward movies. And so I decided on this one. So I don't know much of anything about this, um, other than I assume it's horror. Like, based on the title, that's kind of the only thing that I really can think of. Um, I mean, granted, it also kind of makes me think of Harry Potter, but I doubt it's anything related to that. Um, yeah, I've never heard of this movie. I don't know anything about it, so I have no real like clue on what it could be about and or anything. I obviously don't know who might be in it as well because of that. So I'm going into this completely blind. It was just a random suggestion by Venom. So hopefully I'll like it. Hard to say when I don't know anything. We'll see though. Um, just like with any donation uh, going forward, any donations, if you wish to donate, you can do that at any time. The link to the PayPal is in the description below. You can donate any amount and you'll still get a reward no matter how much you donate. Any amount is appreciated, especially during this time with the quarantine and everything. It'll just help me be able to like do stuff like pay for food and shit. um, and you'll always get a reward no matter what. You can suggest a movie, a series, YouTube video, YouTube series, whatever. You, if you want to discuss it with me and everything, you can. And there is also on the Discord server a list of ideas. Not exactly a full comprehensive list. There's obviously plenty of other stuff that I haven't seen that you can suggest, but just a list of ideas of things, of different shows, of different movies, and so on and so forth that you could suggest for me to react to. Um, so yeah, if you have any ideas, you can just feel free to bring them in as well, and we can go from there. And yeah, any and all donations are very much appreciated. Doesn't matter how much, it all helps. So that being said, we're just gonna get into this because, like I said, I know nothing about this movie. I don't know what to expect. I don't really have much of anything to say going into it because I know nothing. So we're just gonna have to find out. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So before anything, I looked up the actor who played the man. I guess you could call him the brother or the father, or as the woman called him, daddy. um, the actor Everett McGill. The only thing I would know him from is License to Kill, the James Bond movie. Other than that, I don't know. Like I know of one other role, which was Dune, but I never actually saw the old Dune movie, so was never interested. Um, so I wouldn't recognize him from that. So it has to be License to Kill that I recognize him from. But either way, so this movie was terrible. This movie was absolutely terrible. There were some fun aspects to it, and there was a little bit of it that, like, I looked it up. This was actually, like, kind of, like, meant to almost be a satire of capitalism and conservatism and stuff like that. Um, at least that's how it's seen. And it's like I can kind of see that, but even so, that kind of allegory seems lost in translation somewhere. Either way, it was dumb. The dialogue was shit. The acting for the most part was subpar. The directing was dumb. A lot of the choices made no sense. There were so many, like, it seemed like one of the biggest aspects of this movie was, let's just do as much as we can to make it so over the top, so shocking, so horrific that people forget, and people just completely ignore the fact that the writing is terrible, that the everything is just excessively dumb. Like, for example, the fact that these two, like, apparently they come from a line of this family who were just, they became greedy, and that greed drove them crazy, and by driving them crazy means, like, literally driving them mentally insane, which is not how anything works. And that through that they became the way they are now. I'm sorry, nothing about that makes sense. Nothing about that works. And the problem with even seeing this as satirical is the tone of the movie does not come across that way. There's a couple moments that you could say, like, oh yeah, yeah, I can see this maybe being a satire. But for most of the movie, it comes across as like it's trying to be serious. Like it's trying to be a legitimate scary movie. Like, not even like full horror, but more of a thriller, I would say. Like there's horror elements, but I wouldn't call this movie a horror movie. I'd call it a thriller. Um, it just it seems like the tone is trying to be way too serious, and the actual context of what's happening is such the opposite, so over the top, terrible and dumb and ridiculous and unbelievable that it's just like there were a lot of points of this movie where I was checking the time because I was like confused that, like, it felt like it was dragging on as well. The pacing was not that good. Honestly, the fact that Fool escaped and went back, like, I understand why he would think to do that, but I'm sorry, it just doesn't read as a logical step to take for this movie. It would have made more sense to have them stay in the house and it end with them escaping. And maybe like the family or something found out, like Ruby found out that her brother was missing, and so she had maybe remembered something he said or went to investigate and found out where he was, and that's how all of them got there, maybe. But it's just like the way it was actually handled felt really off to me. And it's just, not to mention there's points in it where this kid, it's, and this is a problem in a lot of movies and a lot of shows, especially animated series, let's be honest, where kids are like, he's like, he mentioned it's like his first day of being 13, right? He just turned 13. Yeah, 13-year-olds can be smart to a degree, but he was made to like have the critical thinking and planning skills of a fucking adult. I would not have been able to come up with a lot of the shit that he did, or honestly Alice did. especially with his sheltered and like just completely like disconnected from the world that she is. And yeah, like you could come with the excuse that due to his upbringing and due to his just the people around him, you could say that Fool is has been like forced to grow up in a different way. And to a degree, like you saw him like run through the building that he lives in, and there's all those like druggies and shit there. And it's like, yeah, he's grown up in a terrible, shitty situation, but it's like, I'm sorry, he was way too smart for a 13-year-old kid. Even in those circumstances, it did not work. You can't even use Leroy as an excuse either because he just met Leroy. The first time we see Leroy, he doesn't even know who Leroy is. He specifically asks, "Who are you?" Because he does not know him yet. So you can't even use like the idea that Leroy raised him that way or made him learn to do that kind of shit. And then that still doesn't excuse how Alice like suddenly got that smart to be able to have that much forward thinking ideas to stop them. I mean, not to mention that like if she was taken as like if she was taken when she was really young to the point where she would believe that they're her real parents, she should not be able to speak as well as she does, honestly. Because there's no way that those two were teaching her properly, if at all, honestly. They might have taught her a couple things here and there, but do you really think that they were properly giving her an education of any kind? Yet she speaks as if she's just like been through all this schooling and stuff. Her English should be much more broken. And then again, as I mentioned at the end of the reaction and all, or actually I mentioned a couple times in the reaction, I think. But the the others, the people under the stairs, them getting out and just like roaming away from the house and stuff, like that's not a good like happy ending for them. Like, oh, they got out of their imprisonment, yay, happy. No, I'm sorry, but with the way they look, they're clearly like at least a little deformed. Their skin is like gray due to the lack of sunlight and shit, and it's like if someone just randomly and the way they act, their mannerisms, the fact that they're cannibalistic, everything about that is like someone just randomly would see them. Oh yeah, they're getting shot. Whether it's a cop or just a regular person, someone sees them, they're going to get a shot or whatnot. This is not a happy ending for them. And plus, they're not acclimated to society in any way, shape, or form. They're not going to be able to survive in that situation. There was really no happy way to end that, but it almost treated it as if it were. And then there were just some things that just really like weren't explained at all and just felt really like again shock for the sake of shock without actually good writing behind it. Like why did the father character have a gimp suit that he just randomly wore at certain times? Like yeah, I know they're supposed to be crazy, but it's like oh okay, that doesn't explain that. That's not an explanation. And like the fact that these two were racist was brought up like twice, and the rest of the time like that had nothing to do with anything, and it was never even like made a mention of in any way again. Because again they focused on the crazy aspect more than anything and just not actually making them characters and just. I said it in my pre thoughts. Wes Craven is kind of hit and miss for me. I like Scream. Honestly, Scream is one of my favorite horror movies. And honestly, that is how you do a satire. Scream satirizes horror movies and specifically the slasher subgenre in a fantastic way. Straight up making fun of it and poking fun at the tropes, like by even breaking the fourth wall with it. And that's a. And sorry for the lighting, got really bright out there, like all of a sudden. But that's how you do a satire. This didn't feel like a satire, for one, in any way. And two, this was like this. I said in the pre thoughts, I don't like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the like main series, not the 2009 remake. I do like. That's the only one I like. And the big reason why I never liked the Elm Street movies is because I don't like Freddy Krueger. I don't like the way he's portrayed. And I'm not saying Robert Englund does a bad job. It's not his fault. He's doing the best he can with the acting. It's more the writing of the character. I don't feel like, because it feels like they're trying to make the movie serious and comical at the same time. Like they can't pick the tone they're going for, and it always felt off to me because of that. And this is worse than that because this one, it picks its tone, but the tone doesn't work for everything else that is part of this movie. The tone is extremely serious, but everything around the tone, all the writing, the characters, the dialogue, the circumstances, it's all so silly and over the top that it does not fit with the tone. So Venom. I don't know why you suggested this for me. I don't know if it was because of it satirizing things. I don't know if it was because of you wanted to see how I would react to something like this, or if you genuinely like this movie, which if you do, that's fine. I don't understand though. Because to me, in my opinion, from my viewpoint watching this was bad. Like this was really bad. And not even one of those movies that are so bad it's good. Like it wasn't even to that point. There were also a few points in the movie that just it felt like again it was going really hard into the shock stuff and just was never actually brought up or even mentioned again or even explained. Like the one part where she's hanging in the attic, or well, she got loose, but then is pretending to still be hanging while the daddy comes in. He like grabs at his crotch, and it's like this really uncomfortable moment. He's interrupted by the wife, and she gets him to leave and all. But it almost seems like it's implying that he was going to rape her, and it seemed to come out of nowhere just for the shock and horror of it. And that's about it. Like I said, it's never mentioned again. It's never explained. It's just there, and there's no even hint that this was the case, that this was going on at any other point in the movie. It's so out of place, and it's just again it feels like shock for the sake of shock. When I looked this up between recording the reaction and now as well, and apparently this received mixed to positive reviews, and I am just dumbstruck by that. And one thing I saw from it says like this is the Wes Craven we've grown to love, and I'm like, are you high? If again, if you genuinely like this movie, that's fine. If anyone genuinely likes it, that's fine. You have every right to that. I've liked plenty of movies that other people haven't, that even the majority of people haven't, like the 2016 Suicide Squad movie. So I understand being on the side of that, and I understand other people like making fun of me for liking a movie that they think is outright bad or whatnot. But that's why I'm making it clear. This is just my opinion, just my view. I do not understand how anyone could like it. But if you like it, that's you have every right to. You're not in the wrong to like it. Just I don't understand. I do not understand how anyone could see this as anything but terrible. I don't even know what to say regarding it, like other than what I have already. Like the biggest name actor I think in this was Ving Rhames, and like he was barely utilized. Like all his character, all Leroy was like, oh, I'm a criminal piece of shit who treats others like shit, and I call them pussies and all. But then I puss out at the easiest things, and it's like, oh my god, dude. It just and this movie apparently came out in '91. I looked that up as well. I've seen movie 12 Angry Men from the 50s is a much better movie than this. Granted, 12 Angry Men, to be fair, is a much better movie than a lot of movies. I mean, it's a really damn good movie. If you haven't seen that, watch it. It's a fantastic movie. Do not watch the '90s one. It's not as good. It really just ruins the entire quality of 12 Angry Men, in my opinion. It tries way too hard to capture that same just level of quality, and it just fails miserably. But anyways, yeah, it's just like this doesn't feel like the writing for 91 for a 91 movie. I'm just like, oh my god, my head. Am I disappointed I watched it though? Not really. Like it's not one of those movies that I feel like I regret having seen. It's like it was terrible and not even like a so bad it's good, but I don't really regret having seen it. I don't feel like it was so bad that I wish I hadn't seen it at all. It's just I just didn't enjoy it. Um, but hey, that can happen. I watch movies even on my own time, and I have gone to theaters and seen movies that I didn't end up liking, and it happens, and it's always going to happen. So please, like if you have any more ideas or suggestions for movies or any donation requests, please just keep bringing them in. Don't feel like afraid to, because I've found plenty of movies this way that I've loved as well. Happy Death Day is a fantastic example of that. So keep sending in movie requests, please. Um, all you have to do is just donate any amount that you are able to, and you get a donation reward that goes with it. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, the link to my PayPal is down in the description. You can donate just that easily. Um, and any amount is completely okay. It's completely optional. You don't need to do it if you can't or don't want to. Um, but yeah, every donation, no matter how small, gets a donation reward. And yeah, just right now it is really appreciated due to the fact that it is helping me mostly get food at the moment. So yeah. Also, now the light, now it got really, it got darker out there. It was like super bright for a moment. Now it's dark. Ah. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. And Venom, even though I didn't enjoy this, thank you for suggesting it anyways. And keep suggesting stuff. Keep giving me donation rewards. Or you know what I mean. Keep donating, and you'll more rewards will come. Thank you so much. And yeah, for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.